Now, Ireland rugby legend John Hayes is an ambassador for Sport Ireland's Your Personal Best campaign taking place throughout November. Sport Ireland encouraging men over 45 to say no more excuses and to do 30 minutes of physical activity 5 days a week. Now, more than ever, it can be difficult to get motivated to get active, with evenings getting longer, more restrictions being put in place. But there are lots of activities that can be done at home or within 5 kilometres of one's home. Visit www.sportireland.ie for cycling, walking, jogging plans and also online exercise classes you can do from home. So there really are no more excuses. So we've got all a responsibility to protect ourselves, those around us, exercise within 5 kilometres of home, distance yourself at least 2 metres away from other people, avoid an area if it looks busy. Remember to keep it active in line with government advice. So go to gov.ie for COVID-19 guidelines and advice. John, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John.
Hope you're well. How have you kept active, John, since you hung up the rugby shirt?
I suppose having a young family helps anyway is the first thing. They keep me out and about, running around on the back lawn. I suppose lifestyle of working outside on the farm as well keeps me going from one thing to the other. Every day there's always something to do outside.
So what's the fitness and the diet regimen for you then, John? Is it just a natural way, like you just said there, the fitness and the diet regimen?
Yeah, well, like you get used to it, like, you know, from obviously playing and stuff like that. You get some bit of information and knowledge that you know what's good and what's not good. And when you're retired, then maybe you're not as strict on it. But when you do get the habit of having done it for so long, you don't let yourself go too far from it. And I don't drink either as well, which helps as well.
Absolutely. What would your advice be, John, to someone over 45 who maybe needs a bit of motivation to get themselves into shape, but has decided, you know what, I'm going to try and get into shape? What would be your advice to them?
Just like everything, take it easy first. Outside, I suppose, in open air is the best place to do it. Some people maybe who have never been in a gym or didn't grow up in gyms for years, maybe feel they don't want to go in there. So just go outside in. They're not asking for anything huge or technical. Like you're not being asked to run the Dublin City Marathon. It's just basically even to get out, go for walks. No matter where you live in the country or the city, there is places you can go to just get fresh air and exercise outside, which you can do on your own if you don't want, if it's the first time you're ever doing it and you haven't done it much and you're not used to it, or you can just kind of team up with somebody else who you feel might help to motivate you. And if you have agreed to meet somebody to do it next week or tomorrow, whatever, then the fact that you've agreed to it might entice you to actually not come up with an excuse and just go and do it.
Absolutely good advice, John. Just over an hour to go now until Ireland play England. An extra match, obviously, with everything that's gone on. Twickenham, it brings back special memories, I'm sure, for you, John. 2010, your 100th cap, you led Ireland out. A day you'll never forget.
Oh, yeah, like it is. It's a great place to go to play rugby anyway. It's where you want to go. And obviously for me, I got the 100 cap there, so that was a special day as well. But all these places are all big challenges once you go away from home. We know that every year it comes around in the Six Nations, which this is obviously a different competition, but it's the away in Twickenham and the away in Paris are the two big ones where you really get tested. And today is another one of those big days for the boys.
What was the day like? You won the game, which was great. The fact that you had a crowd as well was good. The lads won't have that today. Anything that stood out, especially on the day?
I didn't. It's the place where you are, like, you know, everybody, even from the Southern Hemisphere and everything, knows Twickenham. It's they like to call it the home of rugby and stuff. So that's where you want to go. And for me on that day that there was there, it's just, there is, I suppose, a bit of attention comes on you because of it. So you remember the day, especially for that, more so than anything else.
A bit of over-the-top noise, John, this week from another Code Soccer about a motivational video and speech ahead of the Republic of Ireland-England game. When you were back playing rugby against England, were there many speeches? Were there any kind of historical videos played? Was there tribalism? Was there patriotism invoked to get you up, to get you fired up, to get you going before a match?
No, it would never have been. Never anything. We never had videos or anything like what apparently was shown there. I never saw that, but we would have always been aware of rivalry between the two teams and the two countries, but there wasn't ever, we weren't watching the movies Michael Collins or anything like that the night before or anything like that, you know, so it was always just, you would have had fellas in the camps, like someone maybe like Jordan Murphy or Keith Wood who were playing in England over and back, so there was always, you'd know what English players thought or whatever from into squad like that, but that was about all there ever was.
You only needed the white jersey. That's all the motivation you needed.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely. The team selection Andy Farrell's made for this afternoon, Ross Byrne, a huge day for him. Didn't go well from at Twickenham the last time, but it didn't go well for the whole team. What does Ross need to do to pass the test with flying colours today, in your view, John?
I suppose we're all waiting to see what Andy Farrell's stamp on the game is.
Yeah.
Which is up to what he will do, but that'll take time. But I think from what we've been seeing over the last number of weeks and last year, or whatever it is the physicality that, and even just what Rassie Erasmus said in that documentary about South Africa, about us, where he maybe felt that Ireland were soft compared to other nations, not like Wales. So you're kind of being questioned, and to a degree there, by him, by hearing that, and by the fact that the last few games that England have kind of been seen to physically dominate us, whatever about anything else tactically. It's just they seem to think that they have it physically over us. So first off today, I think it's back to literally like a little bit of old school. You're going to see it up front early on, that there's going to be collisions between Ireland, especially the forwards between Ireland and England, and some one of our players is going to come up with a big tackle, a big carry, and then you'll see the momentum for us off that. And if they don't get these moments where we see them even over-celebrate. Some people think it's over-celebrated, but I think if they come up with it, that if you take that away from them early by dominating them backwards, then you'll level the playing field, and we'll see how today goes from there. Then it'll be completely different.
Yeah, we saw James Ryan getting quite angry at Mara Toje there earlier in the year. When you hear what Rassie said, is that exactly though what you need to motivate everybody in the dressing room to be absolutely wired, to have a real cut off England now?
Yeah, it does. Like people will probably say, I'm sure if you ask Andy Farrell or whatever, he might go, "Oh no, we're not taking any notice of that." But I can only answer from myself personally, like that. If you were there as a player and you feel your physicality and that you're soft or something like that, like, it's not something that you like to hear. Whatever, but maybe someone will question your skills or your ability. They might say we don't have the ball skills or the skill set or whatever. But when you're questioning that, that is something that you can answer, and it's not nice to have it questioned, especially as forwards, I suppose, as well. Rugby is still collision sport, you still can't play the game without at least parity up front. So when you hear that, like you will say publicly, "Oh no, we're not listening to that," whatever like that. And maybe it's not like the old things of newspaper clippings up on the wall of that, but you will have heard it and you're aware of it, and you will want to line in the sand, the old school thing, like lay down a marker early in the game. And I think that the forwards will be hurt a little bit, stung by that, and they'll be looking to make an impact early on.
Yeah, Eddie Jones is interesting. He said Andrew Porter's scrums in a fairly unusual way. Obviously, that's a public message to the referee, Pascal Gozer. So is there a bit of evidence from that, John, do you think, given us the position you were in, that Eddie Jones is worried about the scrummaging situation, that Ireland could have an advantage there?
No, I don't think so. I think he's up to it again, that it's the same ref, and it's a lot of the same, the front row from the Saracens Leinster game. And he's trying to continue on as if he's trying to tell the ref that you were right that day. And he wants to try and the ref doesn't have, if the ref hasn't reviewed the game, that he won't think, "Oh, I got those decisions wrong." So he's just trying to confirm to the ref that you are right and keep it going that way, that hopefully they'll be trying to get more penalties out of it by, if anything happens under pressure, that he's trying to sow seeds in the referee's mind that it's Ireland are illegal.
The battle of the back row is going to be huge. England have a very strong threat there. How do we neutralise that? How do we take that potency that they have and kind of negate it?
Well, playing on the front foot, I think, it's the oldest thing in rugby. Still, like from the set piece, from scrum line out, if you go forward, our back row will be arriving on the front foot to the ball, whereas their back row will have to arrive and try and come around the corner to get there. You just can't generate that same momentum at the ball, and you will notice their back row might be coming in from the side, and our fellas can clean them out. You start to get penalties. As we saw a couple of years ago, England couldn't get on the right side of the referee. Maybe 2 seasons ago, they were getting penalised off the park. They seem to have sorted that out. But if you're playing on the front foot going forward, winning collisions with backs as well, not just the backs. Like if Bundy gets over the game, like when our guys arrive, you're arriving going forward, and it's just so much easier than if you get hit behind again and you have to turn backwards to try and secure ball. They just get on top and they have the players then. So it's about winning it up front from set piece. Again, it just keeps coming back to that.
James Ryan, big day from captaining the side. What are the do's and don'ts for him to inspire those around him?
I think there'll be words already the same as what everybody does. It starts off with words in the dressing room from now before the game. But I think, like a lot of great captains that I would have played under, like Paul O'Connell or Keith Wood and even Dricko, who was a back, different to being a forward. But it's going to be a big carry or a big tackle. If we see someone like James Ryan who gets out and he absolutely smashes a Toji or someone in a tackle or something like that, then that's your moment. That's the person that you follow. He's leading from the front and he's showing this is how it can be done. And when your captain does that, I think everybody else who wants to do one anyway will suddenly get in behind this fella. And that's probably what you're looking for, is a big moment, a big tackle or a big carry to smash through contact, something like that.
England are going to try and use a bit of a kicking game. We'd expect it's borne fruit for them recently, and they've got a very physically strong team. A lot of Tuilagi's not playing, but it looks like a very strong lineup on paper for them. How do we turn it on its head, John, today and put them on the back foot and try and win the game tactically, in your view?
Well, again, it comes back to everything again, like I've said.
Yeah.
To win quality ball off our scrum and off our line out, not under pressure. If we can play it down in their half of the field with playing it on our terms down there with the ball in front of our forwards, with our backs coming onto the ball. So if they get on top of you where they're coming off, then their half-backs can be picking off where they want to kick, how they want to kick, and what they're dictating to you. So it's going to come down to, again, like we've been talking about it all week, for the last few weeks even, about physicality. And if we can play the game in their half of the field, like not in our 22, like we saw in Twickenham back in February, where they got those true tries by just chipping it through. Because they were in our 22, you can execute those when you're there. So if they're not there, they can't come up with little plays like that. And you can see what they can do from their own half and further out the field.
And hopefully James Lowe will make an impact.
Sorry?
Hopefully James Lowe will make an impact.
Hopefully, yeah. You know, if he gets ball, it's back to the same thing. And he has shown that with Leinster there for the last couple of years, that when he comes looking for the ball, he's a destructive runner, and he really does. He just doesn't wait out in the wing and then kind of drift in and out of the game. He comes looking, and when he does like that, and his physicality that he's going to bring to, I think that really help as well. And I don't know whether English players will target him as much as what Wales maybe tried to upset him a little bit at the start, because maybe they think they know him a bit, whereas the English players might know him as well. But I don't think there's any fear of him. I think he's a class act.
John, how are you calling it?
Sorry?
How are you calling it?
Yeah, it's hard to hear, but I think we really can win this game if we turn up. Like, I know maybe a lot of other people aren't giving us much of a chance, but you just have to feel as a player that the boys have been, in camp and oversaw that they really want to get a crack at this one. And you just have to, that 2 years ago, they did win over there in 2018, so it's possible. And you just hope that you just have to believe that it is possible.
And John, the big question, apart from Ireland, England, will Limerick win the All-Ireland this year?
I hope so. I think Tip and Galway are playing at the moment, but yeah, look, it was a tough game last weekend. Waterford put it up to them big time, but it's a strange time of year to be playing it. But they're just taking it one game at a time now, and we'll just see how we get into the semi-final and who we get in that semi-final. And we'll just have to see how it goes from there. But they seem to like playing for each other. There seem to be great squad atmosphere there. They seem to get on really well. So hopefully, and whoever we end up getting in the semi will take that one first.
Absolutely, and maybe Mick Kilkenny again down the line. John the Bull Hayes, you're an absolute legend. It's great to talk to you, and enjoy Ireland-England later on.
Absolutely, will do. Thanks very much, John.